All right, we are going live. Let us see if there is anything coming up on the chat system. All right, we are live. Let's see if we got this working correctly. Good morning, Joe. Go in contacts today. And there we go. We got the live stream going. Let me finagle this around a little bit and get a different camera working. If I can, bear with me. If not, we'll deal with the camera we got. We will deal with the camera that we got. Bear with me here. All right, a little bit better camera. Let's see if now let me just check with my better half to see if this is working. Can you hear me okay in there? Okay. All right, welcome to our Sunday live streaming event. As promised, as we have said over the last, sorry for the squeaky chair, over the last few months, Jory and I have been really working along with Joe, Mike, Doge, Paul, Nick, the entire team at Materials Exchange to get this live stream events working so we can give you a little bit more visibility to not only what's going on our exchange, which is a transparent lumber exchange, but also what's going on in the market and the old analog market like people talk about. So what we wanted to talk about today is first a little bit where I'm at right now. I'm just north of Chicago, Winnetka, Illinois. This is my live studio, my office. As you can see, got my little tractor collection back there. Have a hard time throwing those out. Have my old NFL lunchbox from grade school. So these are the props we have set up. Let's move on and start talking about it. All right, we're gonna wait for a few more people to get into the event here. And once they start getting in, if they want to announce where you're from, put it over in the chat section, say hello. And apologize for any typos if I have them because I'm doing two things at once. All right, there we go. There we go, there we go. All right, what do we want to talk about today? Let's first talk about Materials Exchange and who we are. We're the first digital B2B e-commerce platform in the lumber industry. And people say, are you really the first? I'm like, hell yeah, we're the first. Everybody else that has tried this before has done RFQ systems. What's an RFQ system? It's a request for quote. So how is that different? People are trying to digitize the status quo when they do that. They're still trying to protect the good old boy network. Or I guess the proper term now is the good old boy-girl network. What that means is they're trying to protect the old analog market and the old back room smoking in the cherry paneling room relationships. All they try to do is digitize it to make it look a little bit fancier. What we're doing is disrupting that. How are we disrupting it? We're creating an online digital marketplace where buyers and sellers meet, not just to look at stale pricing, static pricing, and like we used to do, write it down on note cards on a list. Our numbers actually move. People move bids up, move bids down, move offers up, move offers down. What do you get when that happens? You get amazing information that only a few people in the industry see right now. And the few people that do see it right now only see it in their little pig farm. On Materials Exchange, you can see the digital information everywhere that it transacts. So what does that mean? Real quick, so Materials Exchange, come to us at mxlumber.com or materialsexchange.com. That's materialsexchange.com, or make it real easy. Joe lightened this up for us. It's at mxlumber.com. Register. There's a registration button there. It's not as simple to use as we want it to be, but we're working on it. Click on the registration button. Fill out who you are. Enter the code PILLOW. That's an easy one to remember because there's a dude on the internet doing that right now. Enter the code PILLOW, and I'll give you your first match fee free. That's $100 value just for watching this on a Sunday. Also go to the MX Lumber LinkedIn and click subscribe. Go to the Woodstocks YouTube live and hit subscribe. Those channels will give you some information that you won't see on this one. So a couple of action plans for you. First, register, use the code PILLOW. So what do? I just told you a little bit, but anybody that can buy or sell lumber anywhere, mill, distributor, wholesaler, buyer, retail, large, chain, independent, single location, truss facility, industrial panel manufacturer, truss manufacturer, crate builder, builder that's internalized the panelization process or off-site capacity to build lumber, a large framer, anybody that has the ability to buy in volumes of lumber or sell in volumes of lumber should be on here, because you get to see the price real time to you from the whole community, from the whole digital community. Why is that important? Let's talk about that. Info. What have I seen in 30 years being in the business? I've seen a lot of things happen in the business. And it was funny because I was just going through some stuff in my room and I just found this old Enron, lumber price risk management for pro dealers. So people come and go in this industry, but Materials Exchange, we're digitizing the industry. We're coming at it. And if you're not part of this change that's happening in every other industry, I just have to be honest with you, you are going to be left behind. I don't want you left behind. The old way that lumber and panels have been traded will be around for a while because there's a lot of relationships. But I will tell you this, when smartphones came out in the late 2000, 10, 12, these kids that were coming up during that time frame learned how to do everything from here. They are now getting to the age where they're getting into middle management at lumber yards, at mills, at everything. And the conversations I have with them, they'd rather transact everything on here. They don't like talking on the phone about where you went hunting or fishing or what sporting event you're watching. They like doing that with their friends when they're out of the business. They want to trade on and buy and sell and match on a computer or on their phones. So we're seeing a big demographic tip and the decision makers and the social media experts in our industry. In 30 years, what I've seen is a whole bunch of people that get together and form their little groups and have their 5 big sellers they go to and their 5 big buyers, and they do business with the 80-20 rule. And they get all their information from all those people, and they get these blinders on and get in a bubble. And they still do a good job buying and selling lumber. But you have to ask yourself, is there a better way? And if there is a better way, do we want to do it? Heck yeah, we want to do it. Mike will tell you, Wisniewski, the CEO of our company, his experience when he went in, was the first guy into the lumber pit, the first person into the lumber pit with a tablet PC. Can you only imagine what it felt like walking into there? It was uncharted territory. People didn't want to trade with him the first day. You know why? Because he had quick information. He was able to look at what the whole world wanted to do instantly on his tablet PC versus 10, 15, 20 people standing in the pit that just had their little pig farm going on, whatever they had going on. And he was able, that pit went electronic 80% in the first year that it went digital. Mike's taken that fintech technology and we've built this exchange. So what I've seen in 30 years is these relationships haven't changed. Our industry has stayed lagging. There's a bunch of information on the production side where there's dudes sitting in, they're sitting in these cabins with joysticks and computer technology all over them. I go to panelization plants and there's CAD system and BIM systems and laser tables on the end. And then in the middle, you got people double phoning it, talking to people, putting orders together. Did you know the big boxes, how they buy? They don't buy like that. They buy at an index price. They physically don't have enough people to buy as much lumber as they have. So they buy in the index price. So we have a third-party index setting a lot of prices for a lot of the market. You should come to our exchange where you can see it real time. How do you get on? I just told you. You go to mxlumber.com and you subscribe. There's no cost to getting on. We don't think we should charge anybody to get on and look at all the data and have what looks to you, and you should get on for free. How do you get started? Well, you register, we contact you, and we onboard you. Pretty easy, right? We onboard you, ask if you're a buyer, what locations you want to go to. If you're a seller, what locations you want to sell from. We then help you build a list of the items. Every day you log on, when somebody's offering those items, if you have one location, it shows the delivered price to that location. If you have 25 locations, it shows the delivered price to all 25. If you're a seller, it shows what people are bidding you to each one of those locations. You just can't get that information on the phone from your guys and gals. They physically can't give you 25,000 match potentials instantaneously. You physically can't do it. So who's afraid of us? I don't think anybody should be, but people that are sitting right now and trying to justify moving things to people in the old analog method and not trying this and trading it side by side and don't want technology are probably not doing the best value for their company. Or if you're a seller and you have 20 other people selling around you, just think about it. You can list one truck, 50 trucks, one car, 200 cars. Everybody on this digital platform can see it and transact. And it's anonymous and nobody knows who's bidding and offering. So one person that wants to glom onto technology and digitization and lumber and panel buying and selling could, in theory, sell something at a higher price because the person next to him couldn't get the person on the phone faster than the person sitting next to him. So if you think about that, hey, good morning, Doug, how's it going? Great to see you this morning. So if you think about that, if I'm sitting on a floor, so to speak, like I've sat on before, and there's 30 people sitting around me, this person talks to 7 people in the Northeast, this person over here talks to 5 people in the Midwest, this person talks to the Atlanta market, that person the Dallas market, this person the Houston market. I go on and I put up a car to sell of number 3 at this price. All of those people can see it instantly when I hit to put that price on. Think about that. Does that blow your mind? You don't have to call the guy next to you and say now, hey, Bobby, can you call that guy down in Atlanta and see if he can take these cars from me? That guy can already see it on a digital platform. Pretty amazing, isn't it? All right, so we talked about how to get started, how to get set up, and everything else. Let's talk about this past week and what we saw. So this past week, we had a great show on This Week in Lumber with Greg Riley and Matt Beamer. We talked a lot about labor issues and engineered wood product issues and the different markets and what we saw. Now, that was Wednesday. And again, nobody ever knows what the market's going to do, but you can take an idea of what you're seeing, all the information you're out there, and you can process it. So on This Week in Lumberman, Matt, Greg, and I talked about having a game plan and sticking to it. if they thought the market was going to bounce, what they're seeing. If you would have been on these calls for the past month and a half, you would have seen this. And how do you get on these calls? You just look at our LinkedIn Live and register for these calls and come on them for free. Go to our YouTube Lives and see them. You know, a digital market kind of shows you when the price is in all the different areas getting bid or getting offered, right? So we talked about how we saw the big box centers pushing back on lumber months ago. Now we saw them push back on OSB this week a little bit. That's a tighter market because there's less producers of it. It can stay stickier longer, right? I did a little video on OSB that you should look at on YouTube or on LinkedIn. I'm going to track every week the price per sheet and relate it in dollars per 1,000 square feet. We're going to kind of watch this and take this journey together to see what OSB is doing. I think we talked a little bit about this week about how the OSB premium has been taken out of the market. When I say premium, let's talk a little bit about what that means. So premium means there's an index price, which is a survey by a group of people that call around and ask what people bought and sell at. They have a methodology to it. They come up with a number that prints on something. That's the index. That's what Home Depot and these guys all do. They look at these indexes, these big boxes, right? And then they get their whatever formula they have on that, they get that in there. Okay. So index price. Then you have the open market or the spot price, right? So if you're not getting a contract based on the index, you have to go out and buy spot price. Spot price in OSB has been a huge premium for the last few months over the index. What we saw in the last month on the exchange is a bunch of dealers that had extra contracts, not only of commodity-based wood, but of specialty type of wood. These fancy, sheathings and floorings with this, they can do all kinds of stuff. They show people, having rain pour on it for 10 years and all that kind of stuff. That stuff even came on. You know why? Because it probably started to loosen up and people have a little extra, okay? What that means is dealers that have this before never knew how to sell it back into the market. Now they come on the exchange and they can move product back into the market. How does that work, you ask, Ashley? Well, I'll tell you how it works. There's a large retailer out east that had some extra stuff that he had bought because he was afraid during this whole glue shortage that he wouldn't get enough material. He was able to get enough material, so has this extra product. Listed it on the exchange, we moved it all over. We moved trucks back to the Midwest. We moved them out to the New York, New Jersey area. We moved some all the way down to Houston, Texas. That would have never happened in the past. The person that sold them that, their incentive is to sell them more because they want to be able to go to mills and bid more in this market, not help out with the problems of stuff getting rid of, right? This solves that problem, that scratches that itch. This person was completely excited about having that on there. Yeah, Doug, blockchain ledger is the future. We're taking steps closer to that. That's for sure. Hey, so by the way, please announce where you're from on our chat over here and ask any questions during this. Our second show was with Matt Lehman, who does Lehman's Guide. He really breaks it down with his forecasting models that kind of show how different the whole index of lumber should be, the whole big spruce, fir, green Doug fir. Then he breaks it down per species. And then he breaks it down per the cost of product that goes into homes in all regional areas. And Matt does a great job. We had over 100 people on that stream. And our, as Jory, our social media manager, will say, our views and our click rates on those views are amazing afterwards. I mean, they're huge how many people are coming to get this information. What that really shows you, people want more information than what they're getting currently from their current buyers and sellers. Because when you're in a bubble, you only get the information in that bubble. And it becomes an echo chamber, hearing the same person regurgitate stuff over and over. I just like looking at the data. The data will tell me where the market's going. I try to take out as much as I can of the noise and look at the data. And with Materials Exchange, you can do that. So we had that great show. We did some videos this week, and then we started with our Friday Smart Call. we had the person from Lot Nova on, and that was a great call. These Friday market calls, we actually have just for internal users. We're thinking about opening it up to everybody. Next week, Wednesday, noon Central Time. Greg Riley is traveling this week, so we're going to have to get a new person to fill in on the show. So if you have any ideas and if you want to fill in on the show, the requirement is that you buy or sell lumber. You like having questions asked, you're good talking, and you want to be on the show. So send me a DM and we'll chat about that. But we want to get somebody on for that, and then Greg will be back the following week. Lunch with Lumberman with Matt on Thursday. We'll do that, and then I'm going to go back to one of these big boxes and buy some more OSB next Saturday and track the prices of that. What to expect on MX shows in the future. We are going to keep live streaming. We're going to eventually start adding some live trades in here so you can see them. But if you're a member, you can see them all the time anyway. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues going on in lumber right now. Lumber has kind of come off. If you've just landed on this planet in the last week, it's come off significantly, and I guess we could almost say as of Thursday and Friday, it was kind of in a free fall. CME is something we could talk about, lumber, but it really is just a 2x4 based out of Vancouver, BC. So if you look at the open interest, the price, everybody loves talking about the CME, but very few trade it. So it's the only benchmark we have, but there's more things you can look at to get information on that. So CME traded off pretty significantly in the last month. Cash has followed it. Cash, I should say cash probably led it. All the different species. If you want to buy 8-footers, for instance, I've got that prop behind me. That's a 2x4 8-footer that I did a video with. Those things got up to, oh gosh, let's see here. 2x4 8-footers got up to, at one point, let's see, get my calculator up here. 2x4 8-footers got up to 1.7 times $10, $11 a piece, $10 or $11 a piece, maybe even more. Right now, as of last week, you could buy these premium grades at around $4.20 to $5. Think about that. You can extrapolate that with all the items. So lumber has lightened up. OSB, plywood, has just started. It's just started. If it's going to continue, don't know. It's just started. The way it started, and one of my astute listeners on LinkedIn basically saw that. He said, hey, if your retailers are pushing product back into the pipe on the other end has to push harder in order to make it flow. So first of all, if you remember back to what we said, the index price, spot came in. First thing we've seen. So spot and index are right here. As of Thursday and Friday, there was a lot of retailers piling on to the exchange to start listing panels to sell. And we'll see if that continues, but that's the first thing. Whether it goes down farther, I don't know, but that's one of the things. Engineered wood is still very tight. One of our listeners said that if it was an 8-inch pipe in the whole supply chain, lumber was now a 6-inch pipe. And hopefully I'm repeating this correctly. A 4-inch pipe was OSB and plywood and labor, and a 2-inch pipe was engineered wood products. So what's happening in engineered wood products? Engineered wood products are just tough to get because there's a lot less producers of them. So what I've seen is a lot more people designing around wides now. When I say wides, when we talk in lumber, wides are anything over a 6-inch, 2x8, 2x10, 2x12 solid sawn lumber. A lot of people like engineering for all these I-joists. You can make larger runs and spans and big houses. Well, you can also re-engineer them and use solid sawn timber. And if this stays tight, that's what's going to happen because markets are efficient and that happens. Or all of a sudden in a year, there'll be a whole bunch more people making engineered wood or making more engineered wood. So that's one of the things on engineered wood. Labor is an interesting issue. You can only build as fast as you can convert. So what I mean by that is conversion. Let's use this example. If I have a forest full of trees and they're priced at $10, and I have mills sitting all around me, and I can make 10 trucks a day of these logs and send them to a mill, but they can only convert 9, what do you think the price of logs does? It doesn't go up, right? Eventually, that mill figures out how to convert it to 11. And all of a sudden, then the price goes up. I'm making 10 trucks. They want to convert 11, so there's more demand. So let's put our thinking hats on about building. If I can only build 10 houses, but the demand is to build 20, and I'm producing enough lumber for 20 houses, 15 houses, 12, however many above 10 it is, I can't convert that lumber and put it into houses until I have enough labor. The labor is the mill to do that. Okay. So what we're trying to grasp now is, where is the backlog of homes? One of my astute users of the platform, love talking to the guy. It's different in every market, but like he was saying, it's hard to get the labor right now. It'll eventually catch up, let's hope, but right now it's hard to get. So you can build inventory, but you have to remember, we have the houses we think we're going to build, and then we have the houses that we actually can build. So that'll be a great one to watch. The same gentleman sent me something last night that's interesting. As this falls, when are we going to bounce? I don't know. Could bounce Monday, could bounce Wednesday, could bounce Friday, might not bounce. Greg Rowley put something out great on LinkedIn this week. His whole point was, on his LinkedIn survey he did last week, nobody thought it was going to go very much lower, and it did. Everybody had hope last week it was going to keep bouncing. People were trying to get it to buying and talking it up. And now people have underwater wood they're trying to get rid of on the distribution and wholesale side. It'll clear up. But what I'm trying to say is we have to monitor the market and see what's going on. And what this gentleman said was, now we have to look at this. How many days of inventory do the big yards have? And how are they selling it? Historically, people have sold on a 90-day rolling average to the index, where they price it, they put it out there, and the price changes every 90 days. Some have moved to a 30-day average. So the question is this: how much lumber is bought for Q3 now? Some people have it bought, and in this person's case, they said some people don't have it bought yet. So I guess we have to find out where people are in the market. Back to what Greg was saying yesterday on his LinkedIn post. Because of that, and because we're breaking down here, are there numbers below 800 that are in play? Is 600 in play? Is 300 in play? The fact that nobody thinks it can go there means it's in play, right? Another thing you're going to probably see happening, interesting little thing in the market, is you may see people moving around the industry a little bit, because anybody that had stuff sitting in a place that's underwater, it doesn't happen a lot, but you always see in these industries there's shakeout, and people move around to different places when there's high priced wood sitting on the ground somewhere. So keep an eye on that and let me know if you see any of that going on. That was one thing I want to talk about. One of the interesting things that we see out here all the time is we'll be talking to people on I love this one. I buy direct. I hear that from people, and then I ask them who they buy from, and they tell me the names of the people. I'm like, well, that's not direct, but we love having everybody on our platform: mill, distributor, wholesaler, retailer. large framer that's internalized the on-site or off-site building. We want everybody getting information, which creates a just digital web like the back of an airline magazine where everybody's connected. Isn't that a beautiful thing and the way it should be? If you walked onto some of these places and you see all these desks with people on phones, you'd be like, this looks like a Madman TV series. A lot of that, I grew up on these floors, and I've seen them. And there's a lot of these analog markets, not only in lumber, but in other industries out there. Wink and a nod, we'll keep it at that. There's a lot of these that are going to be disrupted in the future. So again, keep bringing up any questions that you have here and let me know where you're from. I want to see if this thing is streaming okay, so we can bring some more issues up and talk about it. We talked about index. Let's talk about this index again versus spot price. So when the market last year started out during March, when the first COVID started happening a year ago, March, everybody liquidated their inventory, right? Well, as it started moving up in the different quarters, people started adding more to their index pricing, right? What does that mean? What happens is you're sitting there, let's say you're a big buyer in Texas or Atlanta or Arizona, and your 20% contract and your 80% spot market. That means 20% of your wood is priced off of an index, and there's little gyrations to these formulas, but basically every week you get X amount of cars or trucks shipped to you based on that index price, okay? Pretty easy. And the other 80%, you just got to be on dialing and calling and using materials exchange and getting that done. Well, what do you think happens as the price of lumber goes up? Hey, Jimmy, hey, Anna, you want to add another 8 cars a week to your 2x4 number 3 contract? Yes, I do. Boom. The next week, hey, you want to add 8 more cars? All of a sudden, you're at 50% index, 50% spot, and you're locked into a number that a whole bunch of other dudes in the industry that I'm not even sure who they all are, price based on a call around, right? Works out on the way down right now. There's these cars. So what do you think historically happens as the price drops? People start doing less index and more spot, and the cycle repeats itself. So if you come to materials exchange, you can see the real price to the second, and you're going to love our data. So anyway, I think that kind of goes over what I wanted to talk about. We're adding a whole bunch of new stuff. Joe added our markets, and you can search basically when you sign on. If you want to look at everything that's live, you press a few buttons, boom, populates your whole screen. Pretty cool. We keep adding to our user interface every day. Our users are some of the smartest users. They call us and say, can you add this? Can you add that? We are revolutionizing the industry, and we are changing the industry. And I know, because some of you are my friends that have said to me, I hope this doesn't work because I may not have a job. That is not true. You need to make your job more efficient. You need to be a top step person and actually embrace the technology. Intelligent people actually accept technology and try things. People that are afraid of things and want to do things the same way, put their head in the sand and hide from them, and the world runs them over. If we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. We're just doing it better, and we're doing it quicker, and we're doing it now. Years ago, people thought Tesla was a joke, right? Who's going to drive an electric car? I just saw 7 go by my house this morning. 2 or 3 years ago, people said, your exchange will never be successful. I laugh at that, and it actually drives me, and it's the chip on my shoulder because I grew up in this industry, and I will tell you the note cards that my dad used to help me write out to go call people to buy inventory, not a hell of a lot has changed in this industry, and it needs change. It needs to be shook up, and we need to have less control over a few big companies doing everything. We need this digital information. I want the small lumberyard in Montana or the small single lumberyard in Minnesota to have the same access as anybody. You should too. Now, if they react differently, that's one thing, but everybody should have the same ability to get something done. So again, materialsexchange.com, mxlumber.com, come and register. Come and sign up. I've babbled for almost a half an hour now, but I really wanted to test this stream and see how it works. So I'm glad you all could make it, and look forward to doing this again.